Hi everybody, DUGROZ here with DUGROZ Reports. Welcome to another episode of Frugal Points, the series where I drive in my car and talk to you about the philosophical side of points and miles. Today we're going to be talking about, well, just a brief word on canceling credit cards and why it's okay to do that. Here's the background. Every time I do a video or a short where I either have canceled a credit card, show myself shredding a credit card, talk about canceling a credit card, I'll usually get at least one or two comments that go something like this. Why bother canceling? Just downgrade to a no annual fee option. Or if the card that I'm canceling is already no annual fee, something like, there's no harm in leaving it open, just keep it in your sock drawer. Certainly there is some degree of accuracy in that, or if you just take it on face value, the statement is accurate. Once you have a no annual fee card, if you just never use it, you're not going to pay any interest. It's going to help with your utilization, etc., etc. But that comment is a little incomplete. And I think there's a myth out there that there is always harm in canceling credit cards. Certainly there can be harm in canceling credit cards, but to say there's always harm is at best an exaggeration, and at worst just plain wrong. We all know of the example, or probably most of us know the example of an extreme change in credit card utilization. If you are relatively new to having credit, then yeah, canceling a card can be harmful to your credit score. The classical example is, let's say someone has exactly two credit cards and they both have a credit limit of $1,000, and this person on average has $500 as a statement balance combined between the two cards at the close of each statement period. Well, 500 divided into your total available credit of $2,000 is 25%. So while you have those two cards, you have a 25% credit card utilization. If you then cancel one of the cards because you're thinking to yourself, well, I only use one of them anyway, even if you still spend the exact same $500 a month, now your credit card utilization is 500 divided by 1,000, 50%. So that jump from an average utilization of 25% up to 50% can certainly be harmful and drop your credit score in a meaningful way. So we want to avoid that. However, for someone who has a thick and well-established credit file, that's almost never going to be an actual concern. Take me, for example. I have had credit since the late 90s, and my oldest active credit card is now 24 years old. Probably older than some people in the YouTube space. So, and I have, multiple credit cards during that time. I've had 2 or 3 car loans. I have 2 open personal lines of credit that I never use, but it reports to the credit bureau every month as available credit and positive payment history. I'm not obsessive over my credit score, and it usually averages somewhere between like 750 and 790 roughly. I might drop into the 730s, 720s occasionally, and it's gotten as high as 800. So in the past, when I've canceled a credit card, in the recent past, let's say the last 5 years, my credit score never takes a hit of more than at most 10 points, and usually it's only 1 or 2 points. And then within about 2 cycles, that drops off and it bounces back. So to say that there's harm in canceling credit cards or I'm hurting my credit score is a severe exaggeration, and after a month or two, just plain wrong. There's no lasting harm. Even if I canceled my oldest credit card, I don't think I want to, because it's kind of fun to have a credit card that's older than some of my peers, but even if I canceled my oldest credit card, it wouldn't cause that harm. It's going to stay on my credit report for 10 years minimum, and By then, my next oldest credit card is, going to be 30 years old, so what's the big deal? Now, if there's no harm in canceling a card, what are the advantages to canceling a credit card? Well, one of them is just risk of fraud. The more cards you have open, the more likely one is to be hacked into by an identity thief or compromised in some way. So, although it might be very minimal, you are reducing that risk ever so slightly. Secondly, there is just the idea of simplification being good for my peace of mind. So, right now, my wife and I combined have in the neighborhood of 30 credit cards. That includes personal and business credit cards. And to me, that feels like about the most that I can handle. Since I got into points and miles, I don't have the number in front of me, but I've probably canceled around 7 to 10 credit cards. So if we just use 10 as kind of a round number, if I hadn't done that trimming work, I would now be up around 40 credit cards. Now, some people have 50 to 100 credit cards, and as long as they're not paying annual fees for cards they don't get value out of, I'm not going to criticize them. But that would be hard for me because I have a very paranoid kind of personality when it comes to checking on things. I log into every issuer almost daily and do at least a glance kind of around the horn at my cards when I first wake up, just to make sure there's no transactions I don't recognize, just to make sure, I'm paying the full balance, unless it's a 0% card and I'm not paying it on purpose, but make sure I'm not paying any interest. I don't trust the auto pay enough to just let it do its job. So it takes work to check on everything. So there's value in simplification for me just from a peace of mind standpoint. And then last but not least, keeping it simple for the sake of my wife. If I died or if I became debilitated, say I had a stroke or a heart attack and she had to take over the finances completely, either temporarily or long term, I don't want her to have a gigantic burden. She already has a little bit of a pit of her stomach feel just thinking about it. Let's not make it worse. So I need to keep that collection kind of small. Now I think the best way to do that is just to limit your issuers, but that's another point for another video someday. So tell you what, can we all just come to an agreement? If somebody likes having 50 to 100 credit cards, even though maybe only 15 to 20 of them get used regularly, I'm not going to criticize them. Likewise, if somebody prefers to keep their portfolio slim and simple for peace of mind or consideration of player 2 or for whatever reason they feel like, as long as they're not doing something dumb or harming their credit profile or, canceling a card that's closed to new issuers that has a major benefit, let's just not criticize each other. Sound good? I think that sounds good. Put your comments down below and let me know where you fall on this sliding scale. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try my best to personally answer them. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and click the thumbs up button. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks for watching.